welcome to my internet home. And you guys are my humbled, worthy guest here spending time with me at the American's Voice. And I am Yanni. Glad to have you guys here with me on a Sunday, August 16th, 2020. Wow, what a wonderful week we've had, and what a busy week we've had too as well this past week. But you guys can call me your starting pitcher. The guy you put out there that's getting those big salaries and, everyone's going all crazy for, the pom-poms are coming out. Yeah, that's me. Getting you guys ready for the week ahead and getting the mindset prepped for attack mode. Because like I say, every single week, we definitely do have a country to save. And I love being on the front lines and making those things happen. Just some quick housekeeping. You guys know you can find episodes of the American's Voice and Yanni also on SoundCloud. You can find us over there as well. And also, you can shoot us an email if you choose to. Also, you can add the mailbag of hate too if there's problems that you have. This is to all you left out there, lefties, at America's Heartbeat at yahoo.com. And you can also find us at America's Voice and Yanni over on Parler, which is a dynamic social media platform which is exploding because people have freedom of speech there. So I recommend you guys go there with great names like Sean Hannity and Dan Bongino and Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh. And hey, put your own name in there. So many more names and great names and conservative leaders out there looking to be constitutional pillars in our society to keep this country on track. So I am excited to be here with you guys and to serve you guys over the airwaves. But just going back to last week, I want to recap just a little bit before we move off into deeper things on the dangers of unhealthy politics. Last week, we were talking about how it intrudes and penetrates everything. And it all the way down to the school system. And so I was looking at a video clip yesterday, I believe it was. And it was Senator Dingy Dingle. And she was talking about how the coronavirus, and mind you guys, this is a virus. It is something that attacks your vital organs, your respiratory system. But for some reasons, it's become a political football. And people aren't calling out the big king-size elephant in the room. You've seen those king-size Snickers, right? The ones for I think it's for Halloween, but they're like $9, right? It's like the size of it's probably about 8 inches, I think, in width, and it's about about 3 or 4 feet long. It's huge. Well, there's a huge, big ass Snicker, a big ass elephant right here in the room. And we can't see that things such as the coronavirus has truly been hijacked. What about caring for the people that have problems truly that are fighting? A couple of weeks ago, we lost Herman Cain, okay, who was very instrumental in moving conservative principles forward in this country. And so, yeah, it is a big deal. But restricting and locking down the country, I just don't think that's going to be something that's going to be good moving forward. I got some stuff I'm going to get into a little later. And I'm going to talk about how shutting down the economy is going to affect a certain outcome in 2034. So stay tuned for that too as well. But I want to play cut one real quick. Here's Senator Dingy Dingle. She might as well just continue to slide to the left too, because I understand her heart. She seems very sincere in what she's saying, and I have all nice, warm, and fuzzies for her. Not. Take them all out. Here she is on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo Cut one, please.
Congresswoman, House Energy and Commerce Committee member Debbie Dingell. Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you've been staying strong throughout this coronavirus shutdown and this craziness. Your reaction to what has taken place, why can't the two sides get together on a stimulus deal? What's holding it up?
Quite frankly, I don't know. And I want to make it really clear to listeners that in the House, we will come back in 24 hours to do something about this. Maria, I'm out there.
You are out there. And the way that your eyes are bucking, similar to Nancy Pelosi's, should we get those congressmen and senators drug tested? Just a thought. Continue.
Employment. They're afraid they're going to be evicted. And we've got a food supply in communities that you don't expect it. They want us to do something. So this week, Democrats put on the table, they'd come down $1 trillion if the president would come and the Republicans in the Senate would come up. We got a job to do, and our job is to get this done. So I wish Mitch McConnell wasn't giving up and going home. I think that shows poor leadership on their side. We got.
With the exception of her sounding confused and all over the place, I can't help but think that the American people, you guys must feel like pawns right now. No, you feel like a deck of cards. A deck of cards. And they're playing with your life. Oh, we'll go down $1 trillion. Do you know how much $1 trillion is? Let that sink in, how nonchalantly they throw the word trillion around in Washington. And so we're well over 20 plus 22, 23 trillion dollars in the hole. We have another stimulus coming out, and rightfully so. I don't agree with the spending of the money, but the government's the one who shut everything down. You know, remember Dr. Fauci, that guy? The guy that wants you to put, a mask on with, and he doesn't have to wear them though, because, he's the virus, he's immune to the virus because he's a bureaucrat. Yeah, that guy. Put your mask on. He put us in this position to where everyone was crouching tiger, hidden dragon inside of their basement or in the attic of their home, hoping they don't catch the virus. Acting like real good sheeple. But the effects of that is something that the government did. So should they give some money out? I mean, hey, that part of me agrees with it. And so she goes on and she talks about and says this is not an economic election. This is a coronavirus election. And you see right now with the money, the way they're throwing money around, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer is coming to the table, but they're coming to the table with a fixed mindset. They're coming to the table with my way or the highway because I got the house. Look at my house of cards. Let's make sure that this year we blow down their house of cards and send them packing and stop the demolition project that's been being displayed and on display to the world in this country of the USA. We must take pride in who we are and what country we live in. And so they talk about the seniors. Oh, the seniors, they're upset. And, there's a few factors. I understand the seniors can be upset because they're high risk. I understand that they have pre-existing conditions, and the way the media paints the picture of the president and of the administration and of Republicans and of conservatives, let's just go down the line. They're going to paint a picture that's going to say they're going to take your Social Security, they're going to take your health care. And so Trump becomes the big bad wolf in the White House. Orange man strikes again. Orange man bad. And people, these demented characters that are walking around in the United States of America have the ability to vote while they're taking craps in parks There's a restroom right there, sir. Right over there. There's a restroom right there. They're defecating in parks right in front of a 2-year-old, eating her ice cream, trying to enjoy the day, looking at butterflies fly by. And here's your hairy rear end exposing yourself. Yet those people are able to vote too. And so it's a sticky situation. You start to kind of alienate the senior citizens or those who are sick that may be young. How did we get here? And who realistically can completely control any epidemic or pandemic? Oh, but Joe and Kamala, potato, tomato, it doesn't matter to me, okay? Because like Sarah Palin said, she says, it's not like people attempt to pronounce her name incorrectly. Sometimes it's a slip of the tongue. People in the South, they might call her Kamala. Hey, Kamala. If they way in the backwoods, they might say something like, let's not get off into that. Anyways. But they got everything figured out, though. I guess they are the ecological virologists leading the country. Yes, all the great leadership. I'm going to get to them, and I will debone them shortly here in the next segment. But I do want to shift gears, and I want to talk about the mindset in the 60s real quick, briefly here. A couple of things have been kind of going on in my mind, thinking about the heartbeat of America, thinking about how we're charged to win, thinking about how focused you have to be, like you're playing from behind. Oh, yes, believe we do have our work cut out for us. The mindset in the 60s and the mindset now, it's unparalleled. And trying to suck the people, it can work to, let's say if we played a game here. This is just something I thought of. And we went back to the 60s. And some people from the 60s went to 2020. Who do you think would be able to have the wherewithal and the ability in greater numbers to withstand the change, the geographical, psychological, cultural changes that happen either or? Who do you think would be the strongest? I have an answer, and I know. And I'll give you guys a second to think about it. If I had some music like that, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that. But it'll be those who went back to the past. Why? Because you had a chance to grow, chance to adapt, the chance to change, the chance to figure things out, a chance to balloon into greatness and American exceptionalism. We had a chance to do that. But along with that too as well, we had some major failures and setbacks. And these setbacks are showing themselves in our nation today. And so I am passionate about being responsible and being fired up to be on the front line and fighting for the streets, the country, the counties, the states of our boys and girls. And we're going to get deep off into some things today as we turn the gears and start to move off into the realm of the American's voice. And I am your host, Yanni. Stay right there, glued to your seat. We're going to turn it up. See you in 2.
Whenever dark is falling, you know the spirit of the party starts to come alive until the day is dawning. We can throw out all the blues and hit the city lights, 'cause there's music in the air and lots of loving everywhere. So give me the night. Give me the night. Action. A place to dine, a glass of wine, a little late romance. chain reaction. We'll see the people of the world coming out to dance, 'cause there's music in the air and lots of loving everywhere. So give me the night. Give me the night.
Fantastic. You guys are still there, planted in your seats. And your host, Yanni and the American's Voice, will keep things moving for you guys. Welcome back, everyone. Last segment was, I was setting the table for some mindset stuff when I was talking about who would be the most dominant, who would survive if we were to cross the paths of sending people from this time to the 60s, early 60s or the late 60s, and bring the people from the early 60s to the 2020. Who would be stronger? Who would have the more survivability, the more sense? And I kind of broke that down. But I say that because the mindset of America was so much different back then. And people can use all types of arguments and straw men to try to justify why the country is in the plight and the destructive mode that it's in. So many things I want to touch on. But there's a reason why we are where we are. And I want to dissect those things just a little bit today. Because I think as well, knowing your past, if you know your past, you are able to reconstruct your life based on the decisions people made that were flawed, that were not completely cohesive, and the result or the outcome fumbles. No bueno. Okay, so the American mindset in the 60s, one thing I noticed about them, I want to play a clip here of Robert F. Kennedy, JFK's little brother. And I want to take you back to June 6th, 1968. Now, it's so amazing to think about the history of how everything happened, being that I wasn't even here. But because it is inbred in history, I am able to go back and glean from it, grow from it, and hopefully learn something from it, to where I don't become a train wreck like most of the hellions out there, aka liberals, who don't really care about no one but themselves and their fancy lunches in their gated communities. And I'm not, guys, look, I'm not knocking gated community. Okay, don't send me hateful emails about gated communities. I understand you want to stay safe. Well, if you want to stay safe in your gated community, why you guys have a problem with the wall? Oh, okay, let me stop. All right. But that's a true fact, right? Something to think about. But a couple of observations I've noticed about back then as I've done my study and continue to study and dissect American history. Not the crap that they're trying to teach and been teaching to our kids in the last 30 years, 25 to 30 years. What a disaster. We're going to dissect those guys later too. But there was a sense of unity. You look at World War I, World War II, even you look at the mid-60s when you had Vietnam, all that stuff was going on, and you get the later 60s to the early 70s where it starts to come to an end. There was kind of a division there. We're still unified. We're America, USA. But when the soldiers came back, they were mistreated. They were truly concerned about people. And this goes beyond just the United States of America. Not the globalist governments that's always been there, but the people of the world. They genuinely, truly were concerned that every average day Joe, whether he is in Russia, whether he is in Cuba, whether he is standing next to a pyramid in Egypt, drinking some Egyptian tea, okay, they had a sense of concern and care. And you don't really see it. And then also another thing, you had your shysters out there, you know, your Tony Two-Tone, you know, your Jimmy Six Fingers, you know, those guys like that. Those are the criminals. Yeah, they'll always be there. Kind of like roaches, you know what I'm saying? You kind of bomb them, then they scatter and go somewhere else. And you don't know where they go. But wherever they went, those people see them. Until they get enough common sense to bomb and make them scatter, they'll continue to plague them. And so I propose today, on August 16th, 2020, we need to get a big king size bottle, container, spray can. I mean, this thing is huge. You can see it like from space, and start to eliminate the Democratic Party. Okay? The party of slavery, the party of the KKK. Do you guys remember Robert Byrd? If you don't, you should look him up. Robert KKK Byrd. The party of Jim Crow. The party of segregation. Look, hey, look, lefties, if you guys are upset at me, I'm just stating facts. Okay? If you want to come to a gun battle with a knife, in fact, that's a butter knife, right? Oh, your Boy Scout tool. Oh my gosh. You had it when you got it when you were 9. Oh, it's so cute. How about you put that away and sit down and let us school you on the basic fundamentals of learning, one, how to love your country. And so I look at this and go back to where we were back then. People were more authentic. But I want to play a clip here. The night that he was shot, first of all, one thing I noticed was the media. The media was very, very cautioned in how they approached. So if we did a battle against the media in 1968, and the media, and mind you, propaganda's always been here. So I'm not saying the places that it was void of propaganda. I'm not saying that. But the media in 2020, the American bashing, Trump hating, flag burning, statue pulling, Democrats. I mean, if you look at it, the media. And the reason why I said that, because they're all the same. The Democratic Party is the same. The media is the same. They're Democrats. Let me tell you what, all these guys, the Democrats, the media, Antifa, George Soros, Black Lives Matter, they're probably not all bad people, but all of them are Democrats, which makes them bad people. That's when you take the wool off of them, right? He's like, oh, you're a sheep and wolf. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Oh, my gosh. I knew something was wrong. Your tail looked a little long. But that is the mindset that they had. They were authentic. So play this clip here, because after the media, we start to talk about people not just from America, but people from other parts of the world. They were stunned because how could something like this happen? And think about modern time, how desensitized we've become, and how sad of a state of affairs that we find ourselves in. How in the hell did I get in this crap? Oh, I think we all did it. By turning a blind eye for our freedoms to be stripped from us. It takes one generation, or maybe even two, for a league of great men, exceptional, hardworking Americans, to do nothing. Cut 2, please.
Meriton Hospital, where Senator Kennedy is by now under surgery, and from the police headquarters, in which all the information is tentative. There's no identification on this man. No one knows who he is. In about 25 minutes from now, the police chief will meet with reporters and answer their questions. All over the world, reactions beginning to come in to this terrible event that happened just 2.25 hours ago. In Russian woman, the Moscow street said, "It's a nightmare. It's terrible. It's a great pity," she said, "that you live in such a country where any person can be shot." And it is easy to agree with her. The Italian president, Giuseppe Saragat, expressed shock and dismay and told the Italian embassy in Washington to keep him constantly informed of Kennedy's condition. The news reached Europeans first by radio and television broadcasts. News agency offices were besieged by telephone calls from private people. First editions of London's afternoon papers spread the news in huge black type across the front pages. "This is our whole thing all over again," he said. "It's easy to imagine what people think about us and about our country and our respect for law. We've given them many examples."
Did you guys hear that? They were concerned about our reputation in the world. He said that we've given them many examples by our behavior, which is completely unacceptable. Let's play that one more time. Listen to how sobering the words are. There's no color. There is no politics. There is no naming of people. There is just straight, genuine concern. How did we lose this? So many things that we're going to talk about this morning are going to touch and pinpoint exactly why we've gotten here. Let's continue.
It's easy to imagine what people think about us and about our country and our respect for law. We've given them many examples.
What people think about our country, respect for law, and as you look at the defund the police movement that's running rampant like a bad rash, a rash that no American wants, but it's put on this placard and it is served on the platter, and you're made and you're forced to eat this crap pie of an alternative or alternate American society. Pie in the sky, man. Pie in the sky. Utopia, which does not exist. You guys create monsters. This is the segment where I'm talking about the lefties. You guys create monsters. And once the monster turns and starts to consume you, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Every single time. And if they had a chance to do it again, they do it again and again. And that's why you have incredible people like Carmen Best. Her resignation. Horrible stuff. And we don't want to put ourselves in a position to where every city in America, because of the defund the police movement, or let's call it a fad, shall we? Let's call this the defund the police fad. Because one day it came in around about 2014, around about the Trayvon Martin stuff, and one day it's going to leave. Antifa's been around a whole lot longer, and they're running amok over in Europe. The guy's little mask, kind of like that movie V for Vendetta. Idiots. And they don't care for their society. Anti-fascists. What a joke. But we're going to continue to move and keep the wheels turning and start slicing and dicing the pie of reality. That is the reality that we're living in here in America. You're not in the Twilight Zone, but you are tuned in here with me, Yanni, on the American's Voice. We'll be right back. Stay in those seats. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue moving and educating and sharpening each other. Doing, yes, the Vulcan mind meld here via airwaves, moving forward, saving our country one day at a time, one show at a time, one person being informed at a time. So, moving on to some other things, so many things to get to. I mean, I have a stack of stuff here to get through, and I love to be, guys. The purpose of this show here is to be not just strategic, not just to talk trash, because I'm going to talk trash. I'm going to defend the flag. I'm going to defend my family and the U.S. of A. and God and country. But right here, I want to make sure that we're dissecting things from a kind of a more urban point of view, so to speak. Give my little twists and my little turns and what I see and my perspective. And so the commentary, the news, whatever it may be I'm sharing, it's all in goodwill to help educate and arm everyone out there. But I was looking at this article here, and I was going through it many, many days ago, and I saw people picked up on it. Tucker Carlson and Hannity and alike, and those guys have been stalwarts for the kids that have been dying and losing their lives in Chicago, getting that word out there, knowing that, and this here is a staple in the fabric of our country, that all lives matter. Us having the ability to pursue our happiness, our ability to work hard, to serve our God, to practice our religion, and to leave your neighbor alone, but love your neighbor. But I was in on the Federalist, and this was about four days ago, I believe it was. And the Federalist.com, and it was a black man, it says here, he shoots a 5-year-old in the head point blank. Now, one reason why this gets me and my wife, almost a year ago, we gave birth to our first son. Now, it comes to daughters, we got that covered. We got that terrain handled. But bringing your first prince into the world, it has a little bit of a different feel, especially when you've been around girls all this time. First of all, you feel tough, like, yeah, I finally got some help here now. Yeah, right? Even though he's not going to be able to help you for at least at minimum about 17 years. Oh, crap. I think I better sit back and wait. When I started this task, my hair was black. Now it's gray. Yeah, anyways. But the reason why I think about this and why it grips my heart so badly, just like the 3-year-old boy that was killed in Chicago, just like Legends Law, the young fellow Terrell Farrell, the young 4-year-old that was killed. These are our American treasures. I find it so curious and funny that we guard jewels, we guard necklaces, we guard money. All these things that once you leave from this earth, you cannot take it with you. We have 24/7 monitoring. Just like those little things like old lady had back in the day. Remember, I fall and I can't get up, right? You just push the little button. But we have a movement in this country to defund and remove the police from the schools. Now, I'm kind of like two-sided on that. More to the side of conservative, but let me tell you why. Explain what I'm saying here. I'm going to get off into a little later talking about our school system and the hijacking. So the hijacking has been taken over by another entity, and since the other entity has taken it over, it's like, well, that's kind of the other entity's choice. They're pumping the majority of the money into it. But the other side is, wait a minute, these are human, precious, beautiful lives. And you know who's standing in the doorway, blocking them and saying, no, you can't come here, which they kind of changed that tune. I'll cover that too as well. Are left-leaning Democrats. Guys, look, I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I'm not a Republican, so, I really do have a dog in the fight because I look at both sides looking like idiots, having conniption fits, fighting with each other, blowing spitballs across the bow. Let's just meet in the aisle. You got Mitch McConnell. He sounds like he's talking with a mouth full of peanuts. Well, or almonds. Pick your fruit and just pop them in there. Mitch McConnell. I want to bring up this bill and we will not be spending all of our money. Okay, Mitch, sure. You're a prolific spender, pal. You've been around a long time, too. Term limits. But we don't want to protect our beautiful children. And so the same thing is happening in these cities in this country. We have Chicago a mess, Philadelphia a mess. We have Los Angeles a mess. We have San Francisco a mess. Colorado's turning into a mess. It's all Atlanta, all over the place. And, oh guys, look, there's one characteristic. Oh, this is so good. I probably shouldn't tell you guys. I probably should hold this till, I think I'm going to hold this till next week's episode. I'm just kidding. Shh. Hey, don't tell anybody. All those cities are ran by Democrats. And when they take off their hoodies, it says leftist tattooed all over their body. That's them. Our children are dying in these cities. So I go back to the article in the Federalist, and it just hurts my heart based on me having my first son. And it says, black man shoots 5-year-old in the head, point blank range. First of all, let that sink in for a second. This isn't cops and robbers. This isn't a paint gun match. This isn't a BB gun fight. This is an extreme projectile being shot at and through the brain of a baby. Let that sink in. But it says, but the race-obsessed media don't care. Nothing to see here. You know, the man behind the curtain, yeah, you hear all the little wheels spinning and grinding and things working. They're putting oil and stuff in all the gears. You're like, hey, what's going on back there? Nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. They don't care, ladies and gentlemen. They don't care. Trust me. They don't care. It says this is August 12, 2020. Everyday corporate media commits the sin of omission and commission in their current scramble to shine a spotlight on many leftist journalists deem systematic racism, if you try to shine that spotlight on them. They have elevated the deaths of black Americans at the hands of white people, while turning a blind eye to black-on-black crime as well as the white victims of black perpetrators. Today, the grave sins of omission involved in the execution of an innocent 5-year-old boy. On Sunday, 25-year-old Darius Sessions, a black man, allegedly killed a white 5-year-old Cannon Hennant. Now, let me stop right there for a second before I continue. You notice, look at the dog whistles. On Sunday, a 25-year-old Darius Sessions, a black man, allegedly killed a white 5-year-old Cannon Hennant. You listen to what the media was saying back in the 60s. You notice color was never brought up, and you can watch the whole 6 hours of true history in real time happening. I thank God for the development of films and audios and videos. They tell a story. I just don't want them all on every single camera or every single corner, in our country. But on Sunday, a 25-year-old Darius Sessions, a black man, allegedly killed white 5-year-old Cannon Hennant while the child's 2 young sisters looked on. While Hennant was riding his bike in the front yard of his father's North Carolina home, Sessions, his neighbor, reportedly ran across the yard and shot the child point blank range. One neighbor witnessed the incident, as did the boy's 7 and 8-year-old sisters. I don't want to read any more on that there because this is absolutely disgusting. And this guy, I don't know if he's on drugs or whatever's going on. I know that Christ has forgiveness in the heart for him. But myself, I can forgive him too. But this man needs to be executed. Effective immediately, and our tax dollars should not be spent. Well, he had a mental sickness. Why is he roaming in the streets, and how long did he have it, and how long did people know, and how did he get his hands on that weapon? Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Chaps my hide. But another thing though, side note here, I got some irritations. I was thinking about what kind of things irritate you throughout the week. People not replacing the toilet paper when it kind of rolls out. How about the toothpaste, right? You work hard. You are focused. You have a consecutive 398 days putting the toothpaste lid back on top of the toothpaste. I mean, that means you playing goalie. You're watching everyone. But one day you slip and someone leaves the toothpaste, not just with a lid off of it, but they also squeezed some of the toothpaste out and it is hardened on the outer entrance, the squeeze hole of your toothpaste. Fumbles. So one thing that irritates me is when people, these politicians, they throw the word around fundamental change. It's just being thrown around one day after another, after another, after another. Well, we need fundamental change. Look, guys, if they're talking about fundamental change, that means they're coming for your rights. Let's just say Senator Harris says, I want to make sure that everyone that is in America has health care. And believe me, our healthcare system needs to fundamentally change. We need fundamental change in our healthcare system. I'm not sure if that's how she, talks probably here to you guys. Guys, what she's saying, let me put this in the computer. Oh, here comes the information in the data sheet. What she's basically saying is, if you're in the country, whether legally or illegally, you can get health care. Free, free, free. Nobody beats the whiz. America is truly ran by a lot of stupid people, and they should not have their hands on any type of lever of power at all. Here's another one that I don't like. The obvious word, social distancing. Here's the reason why this one gets me. And I know you guys says he's on a squirrel. Look, every once in a while, I can have a squirrel moment. I think that I'm pretty disciplined as an incredible, stellar, amazing radio voice, tuning your ears like a fine-tuned guitar for those who like classical music, piano. But I can veer off from time to time. But another one is obviously what goes on here. We have a policy of social distancing, which I'd be out and about in the city. And I'm going to tell you guys, people don't be social distancing. They say, what the hell with all this crap? Because standing 2 feet away from a person, if you're outside and the person's, you look at the back of their head, they're not sneezing. They're not breathing hard like a gargoyle or Quasimodo about to climb 18 flights of steps to ring a bell 10 times a day. No, they're just standing in front of you. You are not going to contract this virus. So Pamela, say, they'll get me with that one. Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden, a couple of days ago when they came out and they were doing their big speech. Well, the broadcaster on the news, you have the president, the vice president, and his running mate, Kamala Harris. They're practicing social distancing with black mask on their face. We see the black mask on their face. We know they're practicing social distancing. Why do you keep saying that? And again and again and again. That just chaps my hide. But anyways, let's move on. So everyone knows now the cat's out the bag, which we knew the cat was out the bag about 2.5 weeks ago or so with Joe Biden's VP pick. And I can't help but think how Sarah Palin, well, first, I want to call this, let me set this up for you guys. Sarah Palin versus Kamala Harris. Yeah, let's call it that. Sarah Palin versus Kamala Harris. You know how you sometimes you're in school and they're having the studies of let's say you're piffing a frog or something like that. Like most Americans getting piffed every single day while they're paying taxes. But you're let's say a better example. You put out some type of organic material, and you take a picture of the organic material when it was in its raw form, and the other picture you take, let's say 8 days later or whatever. You put both these pictures side by side, two completely different pictures. The one with the raw form is like, oh, it's so pretty, this and that. The other one is treated as a metastasized, grossly incompetent incoherent mess that should be destroyed and done away with and never, ever uncovered ever again. Burned also, too, with kerosene, jet fuel, nitroglycerin, mix all that stuff in there. I submit to you that second character, that second picture is Sarah Palin. Now, I'm not saying Sarah Palin is ugly, okay? Sarah Palin is a very nice looking governor, was the ex-governor of Alaska. But the reason why I paint that picture that way is, and the reason why it's so grotesquely biased or sliced down the middle and why it's so different is because this is the picture that the media is painting one candidate versus the other candidate. And the one that's in his raw form that everyone's going crazy over, Kamala Harris, everyone's all in the chute. You know, I picked up a little clip here and it says here, lies, distortions of Palin and her views were mild compared to what came next. I just want to put a little clip here. I know I'm jumping out for sake of time. At the outset of his 2009 book, Persecutions of Sarah Palin, Matthew Continetti runs down a partial list of a kind of crude insults routinely hurled at Palin during and after her election cycle. She has been called a freak show, and I remember that. A joke, an extreme liability, a turncoat itch. Let's fill the words in. An insult, a fire breather, a xenophobic, a sitcom of a vice presidential choice, a disaster movie, a shallow person, chirpy, a provincial, a disgrace of a woman, a fake, she's fake as they come, a nauseating, cocky, wacko, Jack in the Box, Napoleon in bunny boots, extreme, radical, vessel, a farce, bush and drag, not very bright, utterly unqualified, a bimbo. Shall I continue? Listen at the insults. Now, I'm going to let you guys on a little secret here because there's so much more. Up until Donald Trump, Sarah Palin was standing right there in that number one slot from the vehement media, American cities, the citizens, the uninformed voters. The vehement attacks were constant. And then Trump comes along. But over in the Federalist, there's an article here that says, the ghost of Sarah Palin will haunt the media this election cycle. In an effort to blunt all criticism of Democratic vice presidential nominee, Senator Kamala Harris, we're about to see a deluge of transparently and sincere sympathy for Sarah Palin. The week before I got married on my family's homestead in Alaska, we found out that Sarah Palin had been picked to be Senator John McCain's vice presidential running mate. This was big news for us in Alaska. Nearly everyone knew and was thrilled, even people who weren't Palin fans. At the time, Palin was a popular governor who made a name for herself fighting corrupt, good old boys, the system that had prevailed way too long in the state of politics. She was a Republican, but seen as a moderate who was willing to work with Democrats and take powerful special interests, including the oil companies that held the sway of the state capital. People liked her, even if they didn't always agree with her politics. Now, see, all this here is true. It goes off into the article, and I want to just lay the foundation here. It goes off in the article, and it talks about how everyone was enthused, how everyone was excited. I mean, this is great. You know, she had some issues that came on. She was persecuted, as a political figure of modern times. It says, she had 5 kids. One of the 5 who gave birth to a baby, prenatally diagnosed with Down syndrome. So that was another issue. I remember there was a time, if you guys remember back, they were attacking her daughter all the time. Her daughter, just horrible. Closest thing to Trump. Trust me, closest thing to Trump. But prepare for transparently insincere sympathy for Palin. I say this as a prelude to what you're about to witness. In the coming months, a phalanx of mainstream media outlets and leftist women groups will be deployed to defend Senator Kamala Harris. Look, it's already happening. Joe Biden's vice presidential pick, by labeling her a sex or talking about her sex, you'll be labeled sexist. If you talk about her color, you'll be deemed racist. It remains unclear what we're to make of Harris's own charges against Biden's racism and sexism. And, you know, I talked about that on another program last week. I talked about how could you pick someone to come run with you in the presidency, and she's accusing you of being a sexual harasser or being a bigot. Just doesn't make sense. But go over there and check that out, because they're going to be giving a little sympathy here. But they did the best they could to destroy Sarah Palin, to tear her up. And you know what she did? She just said, hey, I roll with the punches. I had to roll with the punches. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden at their daily fake press conference, to where you cannot ask questions. In fact, their protocols are heard about it. As you enter into the press conference, they give you a dog muzzle, and you look like Hannibal Lecter around the mouth, and you are not able to say anything. In fact, before they put their Hannibal Lecter mask on, you are also duct taped and gagged. And all you can do is raise your hand like little ponies at the pony show if they ask you a question, which they won't. This is what it looks like. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris press conference with questions.
It make you sound a lot more in Delaware.
Senator Harris, what do you make of President Trump and Republicans' attacks on you since you became the running mate for Mr. Biden?
I'm signing this because I'm in this race to win, and with that guy right there, and we're going to get it done.
Hey guys, come on, thank you. Come on, guys.
Senator?
Thank you,
Senator,
guys. Come on, you guys. Come on, let's go. Come on, thank you. Come on, guys. Thank you. Come on, guys. Let's go. Come on, guys. Guys, come on. It's okay.
And they're being herded away like cats, but cats with self-control. You guys heard all the questions they were asking. Oh my God. Did you hear all the deep responses that Mrs. Harris gave to the press corps, which was like two people there? You know, I just don't get what the big deal is. And they're going to play this game and continue to dart and duck and dodge from having to face the truth. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's about the American people. But there's a double standard, no doubt about it. Palin running for office? Problem. But then I remember Tulsi Gabbard. She shut Kamala Harris down. And I want to play a small snippet of this here, because she's going to, in a matter of seconds, completely demolish, destroy, dismantle, take apart, better than any politician I've seen thus far in this short span of time, the great Kamala Harris. And the crazy thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, it's all true. Cut 5, please. This here is Tulsi Gabbard tearing a limb off of Kamala Harris's arm. Cut 5.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
And as they're clapping and cheering, she has this look on her face. I'm going to tell you what that look was. Go back and look at the video. that is a look of, oh my gosh, she got me. She got me. And you guys notice from that point on, her campaign started to sink like one of those fake gold rocks that you be panning for at a little novel gold mining area on a weekend. It sunk and she stunk. And so that's just some more noodles for the soup, so I say. But going back to the past, how everything changed. I remember about 20 years ago in California, there was a certain feel. Even further back than the 60s, there was a smell in the air. I mean, it just smelled different 25, 30 years ago. Still, there was a level of patriotism there. But, I remember then 20 plus years ago or 20 years ago, they were completing the dismantling of Christmas, calling it winter break. But that's something else we can talk about another time. But Joe Biden came out the other day and he was talking about a mask mandate. I want to take you back down memory lane to July 19th, 2020. And I was talking about the problems with masks. And also not just that, as you start to allow certain things to take root into our society, it's almost impossible to get them out. Look at the alphabet agencies that we have. I want to play cut number 6, but I want to read real quick here, just real fast, about Joe Biden. Just this real quick. Joe Biden launched a swing state ad calling for a nationwide mask mandate starting immediately. First of all, dummy, you can't put a mask mandate on everyone. Here's a little bit of the clip here.
We're seeing it again. The virus spreading out of control. The president once again failing to act. Joe Biden knows we need to listen to medical experts and take action now. That starts by expanding testing, calling for mask mandates nationwide starting immediately, and producing more protective gear here at home. Fighting this virus and rebuilding our economy will take a president who's ready to lead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
I think we've caught Joe in with his hand in the plagiarism cookie jar again, because a great majority of those things he named off, with the exception of one about the president's already done. We don't need a mask mandate. And so back in July 19th, on my radio program, I had a little clip and something on my chest I was getting off. Play cut 6. This is going to confirm exactly what I was talking about. Hold on. Well, you guys told us that it was going to be 15 days with this little coronavirus thing. You told me 15 days it was going to take us to get it, flatten the curve. Everybody wear your masks, hunker under your houses, hunker under your beds, hunker under your tables, hunker under your kitchen sinks. Don't light no matches or anything like that. Stay inside. Inside. Not realizing every single time we hunkered in our house, every single day we obeyed, a little bit more of our freedom was being snuffed away. Losing more of your freedoms. So Joe Biden wants everyone in the United States of America on a mask mandate. So your little mask diet you guys were on, those who have, nope, you have no choice. We want everybody with masks on. So Joe Biden for 3 months, 90 days. One, it's impossible to work. First of all, this country's too big. You got international travel, people coming in and out of the country. 7 billion people, let's say 7 billion% compliance it'd have to take for the whole world to get it under control. Not going to happen. That's just like the whole old equality message they preach all the time. Everyone needs equality. Everyone needs equality. It's a lie. Dr. Fauci said over and over, cover your face. Then he said, cover your eyes, the extra layer with the goggles. Everyone will also be required to have a mask upgrade because different materials, scientifically, it's proven, they don't give the protection from the droplets in the air. Or how about, let's just give a mask covering protection mandate. Remember I was talking about those condoms? Yeah, a body condom. Put baby body condoms. Those would be awesome too. So that's something to think about. That's encroaching on your rights for you to be an American citizen and practicing your God-given rights to have your freedoms to go and do what you want to do. Now, I understand being responsible, but these people are a little crazy. You know, the FBI just sacrificed one of their own. Kevin Kleinsmith. Something we want to keep an eye on. Exhibit 1 of many shoes to possibly drop. And, you know, it's going back to the media again. I'm just going to stamp on this here because I want more information to come out, kind of like the old media was back in the day. They're trying to suppress this story here too. It should be big, big news. One thing we know for a fact, I heard another host say, one thing we know without a shadow of a doubt, the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, was spied on. They spied on his campaign, and they committed horrible crimes against American citizens like Carter Page and General Flynn, and we should be praying for their families to recover. Quick note on Social Security. You know, the biggest scam ever, because it's changing. The dynamic of Social Security is changing. I was thinking about this earlier this week, because generally out of every dollar, they say it was about 72 cents. I think it's like 80 cents. It goes to a trust fund that pays for, monthly benefits, to your retirees or families. And it works out to be about, $1,300 a month, $16,000 a year. And, 16 cents of it goes to disabled benefits. But the Social Security Administration, it was created back in the 60s. I think it was FDR. And they're saying that by 2035, this is for senior citizens here. I want to make sure you guys are up to speed on it. I love our senior citizens. Go vote Trump, senior citizens. They should be broke. May 20th, 2035, they should be going broke. On CNBC News, there was a piece about the Social Security trust funds, how they could run out. Mind you, this piece here came out May 28th. And they're talking about the trust funds will run out faster, it could run out faster due to coronavirus. Well, how is that possible? If people are sitting at home, think about this here. How is this possible? And no one's out stimulating the economy. No one's out really working a job. No money's really coming in. And so the money that's being pumped into Social Security, because the trillions of dollars in revenue that we're losing, that's taking and possibly allowing Social Security, as this article says here, to run out of money even 4 years earlier. And so I want our senior citizens to be aware of that, because it might be a U-shaped economy, but the way things are shaping up, President Trump and the country's kicking butt, USA, we're experiencing look like a V-shaped recovery. And but if we do have one of those, hey, it'll last to 2034. If not, it's going to run out in 10 years. I know the projections before was about 2025, which is 5 years from now. How we bought more life, I don't know. But pray for our senior citizens in this country, no doubt, because I salute you. You guys paved the way for us in this country. I'm going to cut away for a second, but when I come back, want to start to dissect some of the things we were talking about earlier in the program on how we ended up where we are. Education, indoctrination, those right there. If you have those two keys, you can rule the world. And I'm going to tell you, the world is being changed by indoctrination and education in the system that's been radically taken over, and our kids have gone away with it. We need to tackle that subject and some other things as we start to get ready to close the program out. I am Yanni, and I am here with the American's Voice, representing the USA. See you guys in a sec. welcome back. Yeah, it's time for us to dig off into the radicalization of our schools. Great job, you guys hanging in there and allowing yourself to be educated by the maestro of talk radio, Yanni. Now, going back to the radicalizations, June 25th, 1962. We're taking back to the 60s again, ladies and gentlemen. Come go on a journey with me and let's see what we find. 50 years ago, this weekend, this was in 2012, I pulled this up here. June 25th, 1962, the U.S. Supreme Court declared school-sponsored prayers unconstitutional in the landmark case Engel versus Vitale. Public outrage was immediate and widespread. The taking of prayer out of schools. I'm going somewhere with this here because the Freedom Forum Institute, I pulled another article, and this one said, 50 years later, how school prayer, the ruling, changed America. Now, wait a minute. Hold on a second. What does the school have to do with changing America? Well, those kids were in elementary school, well, preschool, then elementary school. Oh, then they went to junior high. Oh, high school. Oh, they didn't stay kids forever. No, they became productive adults. Most, I hope. And then some became flaming leftist libertards with their brains spilling out of their ears every time they hear the name Trump. But how it changed America. Look at the impact of what this means. 50 years ago this week, June 25th, 1962, the U.S. Supreme Court declared school-sponsored prayer unconstitutional. Public outrage was immediate and widespread for millions of Americans. The court had kicked God out of the schools and used a phrase that entered the culture war lexicon. Guys, check out this, a great article on freedomforuminstitute.org. 50 years later, how school prayer changed, the ruling changed America. And so going there, I went there for a reason, because there's an effect that happens when no matter how religious you are, whether you are or not, I believe you have to have some level of faith to believe that you exist, that you're able to sit up in your bed and receive sustenance and able to think one sentence at a time. I just believe that. So no matter what your faith is, but it says here, CNS News, education expert. Here's the effect, ladies and gentlemen. Removing Bible prayer from public schools has caused a decline. That's what it says. He goes and talks about, in 1962, once the court ruling came, everything was happy. Your utopia is going on. We finally got what we wanted. We wanted God out of the public school. I'm torn on that. And I talked about that. I'm torn on that. But I'm more in the area of school choice, government getting out of school, and all that stuff like that. So go check out that article there, because it's definitely caused a decline in society, and we need to keep a serious eye on it. Further in education, when it comes to them reading, there was a little small snippet that I saw over at Chapel Hill alumni.com. And the lady that was writing the piece here, she was talking about how beginning in 1964, for 18 years, that she was talking about the SAT scores, how they dropped drastically up until the 1980s when Christian schools opened up for competition. And you notice they say that the Christian schools started balancing things out. This is so true. You know what has to do with the Christian schools? And the reason why I was able to do that and be a catalyst, because there is an element of faith there. You can't doubt that. But kids became dumber. And what happened, we started dumbing down the school system. The SATs, they went under several changes that made them stupider and stupider. And so more people could pass. So that's like me saying I want to join the NBA or the woke BA. And in order for you to join the NBA, you have to be able to dunk. Well, I'm 5'3". I'm muscular, kinda, but my legs are crap. Oh no, don't worry, but he's 5'3". You gotta be fair. Just lower the hoop. Lower the hoop. Then you'll have people showing up with flip-flops on and not serious. Anyways. And so with the decline of these things happening, which people didn't understand, it was a spiritual problem, I believe, a psychological, emotional problem. Here comes Jimmy Carter to the rescue, trying to solve a psychological problem with more government. In October 17, 1979, even though it's not enacted until I think it was May 1980, the Department of Education, United States Department of Education, is born. And what a disaster it's been. From then, it's been a petri dish of a decline, a fall, of just a horrible experiment gone wrong. Then you got 1980. They knocked out the Ten Commandments. In the Stone versus Graham, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that Kentucky's statute was unconstitutional in violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment because it lacked non-religious legislative purposes. My gosh, this is how we ended up with school shootings. And people think it started with Columbine. It didn't. What happened was, once they took prayer out of school, it took about a decade almost for it to grow into something that was a thing of nature, I guess, or more common in society. And so starting in 1980, when you get toward the late 80s, the Cleveland School Massacre, January 17, 1989, I was graduating from high school that year. California school where 5 children were killed and 29 wounded by a single gun. This is far beyond 10 years before Columbine. But I believe taking prayer out of school, removing the Ten Commandments from school, so that you God-hating, leftist, atheists. Now, if you want to be atheist, that's up to you. But don't attempt to push what you believe on the rest of Americans and allow us to think we're going to take a knee, or we're not going to put our hand over our heart, or we're not going to fight for our country. You are sadly mistaken. So I know they were trying to get the kids back to school, got politicized. And because the Department of Education, that politicization happened because the government started taking over the schools. Anything the government has its hands on, they're free game or fair game to being politicized. So the teachers union, the bureaucracy, there will be no politics if that didn't exist. So we have to fight for our kids. We have to fight for our country. You see all the Democrats out there poll testing to see if the kids should come back to school. Well, you see they want to send them back to school now. What happened to the science? Anyways, I'm going to get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you guys for hanging out with me today. On The American's Voice, I am your mega super duper host. And I will see you guys here next week, same time, 10 a.m. on The American's Voice. You guys are an incredible crowd. See you then.